Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining me today on the Ritu podcast show. I hope you all are enjoying my podcasts. And if you are, please share your feedback. I would really appreciate that. And please let me know in the comment section. So today I have with me a very special guest, Konjit Munchala. Um, she She's an executive in a manufacturing company and has been in the industry for 25 years. But before I pass it over to Konjit and have her introduce herself, I just want to say something about what was my first impression of her when I had met her first. She and I have known each other socially, met each other on events, but not really any one-on-one interactions, so to say. But very recently, we were both participating in a community event, and we just got some time in between practices to talk to each other. And you can imagine, only within those few minutes that we had to interact, I just found her such a kind, compassionate, um, such a warm person, but at the same time so confident and brave and everything else. So she really came about as such an interesting person, and I knew I wanted her on my show. So thank you, Konjit, to have agreed to come. And with that, I'll pass it over to you to just say hello and tell a little bit about yourself for my viewers.
Thank you. Thank you, Ritu. Hi, Ritu, and everyone on Ritu's show. Exactly as Ritu mentioned, it was in each interaction that we met, you know how you in the movies they say people passing by, like you get like a feeling, right? And no like love affair, but it was just a feeling of like warmth and kindness. And I truly feel we all emit energies and like attracts like, so those positive feelings, I feel the same thing about you. So it's not a coincidence, I think, sometimes when we meet like that. So again, thank you for having me, and this is exciting to talk about our journeys, right?
Great, great, Kanjit. Thank you so much. So, Kanjit, how about we talk a little bit about, your life here in US, your family, and how long have you been living here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so I am Indian, but I was never born. I wasn't born in India. I was actually born in Ethiopia. So after my parents got married, my grandfather was a philosopher, so he traveled the world quite a bit. My paternal grandfather, my Dadaji. So he somehow settled in East Africa and Ethiopia, fell in love with the people, the food, the culture. And lo and behold, my father, when he got married, my mom and my dad came to Ethiopia, and I was born there. So
Mm-hmm.
my name, although it sounds like Punjabi, it's actually a very common Ethiopian name. My parents wanted to be sort of true to our, you know, our new culture, our adopted culture, and he wanted
Yeah.
my sister and I to have Ethiopian names. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it was a beautiful life. Ethiopia is not what you see on TV, much like what they show about India. It's there's so many beautiful parts to it. It was the
Mm-hmm.
same with Ethiopia. We
Yeah.
did, unfortunately, we had to flee the country. There was a political uprising, so the emperor was assassinated, and there was a government overthrowing, and um, a lot of turmoil. We had seen a lot of, and we lived through a war basically for about a year and a half. I was
Mm-hmm.
5, 6 at the time. My sister was about 2, 3 years old. And my parents had just signed a contract as teachers to stay in the country for another 10 years. So, but this was no place to be living. I mean, we saw death almost every day. We had curfews. I've had bullets shoot over my head, so I still have a little bit of PTSD when I hear
I
certain
can
sounds, I get triggered.
imagine. And I can
But so
imagine what's happening right now in, Israel and Gaza. I'm sure that brings back what you went through
yeah,
during your
you
time
never
there.
really forget those sounds and those images.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so we fled the country. I mean, we literally came with just the clothes on our back and one suitcase. We had to buy round trip tickets because we couldn't alert, the government officials that we were leaving. So we applied for a visa to the US.
Hmm.
Actually, we applied for a visa to Canada. We were rejected. I was like, Canada doesn't reject anyone. But those are the 70s, So we applied for in the US and we got it. And um, my mom, my sister, and I, we came first. Being so young, my parents didn't tell me the whole plan, but I knew something wasn't right. They didn't want me to say
Hmm.
anything at school
Hmm.
accidentally.
Hmm.
So I just saw that like things were disappearing from our house. We were literally selling our jewelry, our clothes, furniture, everything, toys, just so we could get some money and some cash to buy, round trip tickets to make it seem like we'd come back. But we were literally fleeing the country.
Wow.
Um, so we left first, my mom, my sister, and I couldn't understand why my parents were crying. I was like, something's not right. Being like, 6-year-old mind, like you're trying to process all of it.
Yeah, but
But
Kanjit, it's fascinating that you remember everything so vividly, even when you were that young age at
yeah.
the time.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
such a like a dramatic moment. Like I remember my mom just, we couldn't bring all of her gold jewelry, right? That's such a big thing, your wedding
Yeah.
trousseau. But
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
her putting, my hands were so small, so I didn't get any bracelets, but she put like 2, 3 chains around my neck, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I don't know, like we're just going to India. What's the big deal? We went from
Wow.
India to the US, transitioned
Yeah.
there, um, but yeah, it was just
Wow.
like the memory, like you never forget those things. And then of
Wow.
course, a few months later, after my dad sold our car, and oh, there's
Yeah, that's a cat.
my
Hello, kitty.
cat. She's such an attention getter.
Yeah, that's okay. She's welcome.
So yeah, so we went from India, saw our grandparents, and gathered. And when my father joined us in India, then we came and came to the U.S. and stayed with my aunt and uncle, my paternal aunt and uncle from my father's side, and Dayaji and Daiji, and then came to New Jersey, and that was our life. But I mean, it took us like almost a year for me to stop having those nightmares. I mean, army trucks running over people, like all those horrible images the morning after a massacre. I mean, we would walk the streets and people were literally like hosing down the streets of like a bloodbath. Like
Oh
it
my
was
God.
just
I
terrible
cannot
images,
even
and
imagine. Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so I think like those are the things, like they make you who you are, because once you witness that, you just think like, okay, everything is like, once you go away and leave all of that behind, you realize, I'm like, okay, it's, you lose something in a flood, you're like, okay, I still have my life. Like
Yes.
we lived through a
Yes.
war, right? Like
Yes.
little things,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, Konjit. When people see adversities to the extreme, they they have a very different perspective to life than a lot of other peoples who haven't,
Mhm.
because until you have been in the situation, you would never understand that how worse or can it get than this, right? And we hang on to little tiny things here and there, and it's, you just don't, you can't, it's hard to make other people understand it. I mean, like right now you're telling me and my viewers are watching and I'm sure they can imagine and understand, but it really changes your perspective. And thank you for sharing this story with everybody. And I know that it's already so fascinating and inspiring, and I can't wait to open more layers of your life moving forward. And I know it's also very enriching and inspiring for people to find out. So this was your childhood and coming to US from Ethiopia when you were only 6 years old, and then you went to school and finished your college. So let's pick it up from there.
From college days.
Yeah.
Fast forward.
Fast forward.
Well, I mean, as you can tell from my accent, like I've been here since I was so young. So pretty much sound, like I've been, practically born here. Growing up it wasn't terrible here in the US. Again, once you witness that part of life, you can overcome anything.
Mm,
My sister and I, we were the only Indians for the very long time in our neighborhood, but my mom had this amazing ability. Wherever she went, she just attracted like love, like true adoration for her. She um she she faced some adversity. She got very sick. She hurt her back right when we came to this country, but somehow she was able to overcome that. Even she opened up a daycare, like a little learning institution, and from there, the love that she created in our community. I mean, we are still, after 20 years, you know growing up in that community, that little town of Denville. I don't know, the love that she created, everyone loved her.
mm,
So they were actually the little girls in our neighborhood that my mom, babysat for basically at her daycare. They were all like little bridesmaids at my wedding. So I had
Oh
a
my
very
goodness.
typical Indian wedding, and all of them were like, "We want to wear a lehenga, we want a paranda." They knew all these terms, growing up with us. They were
Wow.
infatuated
Wow.
with our Bollywood themes.
That's
So
amazing. I think that's one culture that is in that way so unique, Konjit. And I know there are other cultures too, which are very welcoming and rich and in culture and history and traditions. But I just feel like Indian culture has that magnetism towards,
yeah,
like it pulls you towards you. So I
yeah.
can totally imagine your wedding. So yeah.
Well, I think our
Yeah.
culture, I think the hospitality is within us, right? We
Yeah.
guests are like God to us, right? That's the
Yes.
saying. So I
Yes.
think everyone that came into our home, my mom was a licensed daycare provider, but everyone that came to our home, she treated them like family. And so that that reciprocation came through. And that's why she was loved so much, because she
Hmm.
had so much love. I mean, her heart was bigger than the universe. And they adopted our culture, we adopted theirs. I think that's where it kind of opened things
Yeah.
up. And if I could have like an ounce of what my mom was, I'm already a better, richer person. So
But Kanjit, you just I was just going to say something that you contradicted, but I think that's where you get your your grace and your poise and your niceness. And I can also tell that you have so much love to give to everyone. So maybe your mom passed that to you too.
I hope so. I
So
hope so. I value, like I get emotionally attached to anyone I meet, even if they're, not the most positive of people. I mean, clearly I'm a very positive, loving person. But I mean, human life is so valuable and so fragile. When you see that, I mean, that's what I think that's probably what motivates me. Having seen in an instant a life can go. That's why each person I come across, I want to love them, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So that's why I give you the tightest hugs when I see you. Something about
Yes,
you, I feel the
yes,
same way.
and you can feel
My
them.
little
Like,
sister.
Konjit, I recently you shared a picture of me on one of the WhatsApp groups with you and I. I mean, the way you're holding me only says like so much like affection and so much how you say like exactly the way you would hold your younger sister, in the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
exact same way. And I felt that. So and I think you're fortunate to have that in within you because the world needs that, to be honest. It
I
does.
know. I
Yeah,
know. We
because
have a
all of us are fighting our own battles. Everybody has something in their life that is challenging, and you know and they if somebody feels that, even if they don't know what it is, but just to know that, you know don't worry, it's okay, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that feeling, I definitely got that from your hugs. So I'm sure all your other friends and family feels the same
yeah. I'm,
about
I'm so glad
you.
that you said that. And we, all of us, we until we actually open up and get down to the bottom layers and what's happening. I mean, all of us have some sort of a painful moment, current, past, several different difficult things that we're dealing with.
Yeah,
I think once you feel like love, once you get that, okay, it's going to be okay. Like, let's start with the very basic, like, right, even a child when they're crying, a baby, the very basic, somebody holds them. Okay, somebody's got me. It's going to be
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
we'll start to address like, okay, I need to be fed. I need emotional support. I need,
yeah,
be feeding of the mind, feeding of the heart, feeding of the soul, like whatever that is. But it's just like a baby. Once
yeah,
you just
yeah,
hold and give a little bit of love, you just feel like, all right, now I can share. And even if
yeah,
you don't feel like sharing, but just that feeling of like, I got you, I think that's so important. I
yeah,
had that with my mom, and I witnessed what it does to people when you get
yeah,
that feeling of
yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
be okay. And that's my goal. I
yeah.
don't have any major plan. I haven't created like an institution for hugging people. I wish I could.
We should. That's a great idea.
Maybe. But I think it starts from
That's a
that
good
when you feel
thought.
right, the hugging institution. Why not? I should.
Founder Konjit Munchala.
So why not?
Oh
Why not? I
goodness. Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
think about that one a little bit and put
Yeah.
something together.
Yeah. No, that's so amazing, Konjit. And I feel like, with today's world, and I was just talking to somebody only yesterday about this, that at least our generation has seen that human connection and will continue to do so for some time. But our kids and their generation, they are already, like, you hear about this pandemic that's going to be loneliness, right, in the world, and how the human connection has completely lost from people's lives. It's just hard for people to go up to people and talk to them in person. They would rather chat with chat gpt or just some stranger online. You don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
So I think, I hope that comes back, because every time things get old and then they come back, when people start to miss it and miss its significance, it always comes back. So I really hope that comes back too for our children and their
Yeah.
generation to come.
Yeah. I
So
mean, our kids, all of us faced some sort of an experience, obviously, obviously the obvious things during the pandemic,
yeah,
the COVID,
yeah,
when we were in lockdown mode, shutdown mode. My kids were in high school, teenagers. And I know they took for a lot of things for granted because you're right.
yeah,
They were that generation,
yeah,
phone in their hand and all sorts of, you know, um, social media. I mean,
yeah,
and when they lost that connection of being with people, I mean, I remember how especially my oldest son, he was a senior in high school, and not having, like, prom, and like not having those things that they all relished, right?
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember him just reaching out to our even our own street, our neighborhood. These kids are all like different ages, but they actually just brought out chairs at one point and sat in the middle of our road. We've like, not a main road, but and then they just talked, and I was like, oh my God, kids do need emotional attention and that
yeah,
interaction.
yep,
But I feel like, so those are the older kids who took things for granted, but were wise enough to know that I miss this. I want social. I want to
mm-hmm,
be with friends. There's some
exactly,
of the little, much younger kids who grew up with that, who only saw that,
yeah.
who never knew what it meant to have friends and play with them and just do ring around the rosy together, holding hands. And I worry about them.
Yeah, yeah, me too, me too. Because I have
Very
two younger ones, 10-year-olds. So, but world is moving on optimism. So we'll be optimistic, and we'll put that in the universe that they will all be fine, and
Yeah,
hopefully that human connection will come back. And yeah,
exactly.
so that's amazing, Kanjit. So to segue into my next segment, Kanjit, I wanted to talk a little bit about your pageantry experience. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, you are a beautiful person and gorgeous. So obviously, it's no no surprise, but that you are a pageant winner. But tell me how you got into that, and what is that experience been for you?
So, growing up in this country, every time we'd watch as a family, we'd watch pageants. These women were gorgeous, talented. I mean, that's what it was back then. And I was always, tomboyish, like scrapes on my knees. My mom would always say, like, what have you done to your knees? And I was that kid, messy hair, just a mess. So I never in my life, growing up, did I think that pageantry was for me, because that's what it was back then.
Yeah,
It's evolved and moved, and it's so much more. It's less and less on outward beauty. Has nothing to do with that. It's more on just confidence. And the platform with my dream team and with Rashmiji and Janak Bedi, I found it so sweet and humbling and it was kind of the same experience. I ran into Rashmiji at some, Edison event, some party, and somehow I just was connected to her. I randomly hugged her, and we got that feeling. And she approached me a few months later, and I said, "Why not?" I'm at the time I was in my 40s. I said, "Why not? I'd love to give it a try." Um, and it was such a world opening experience for me. The camaraderie with the girls, I think that's what I loved the most. Um, the whole point of forget about your outward looks. It's just about confidence, which
yeah,
I never really had about my outward self. I was,
yeah,
like I said, I had confidence in sports, in running around, but not so
yeah.
much in anything else. And as I'm maturing and getting older, the skin is not the same, the body's not the same, hair is not the same, all those things. So I said, why not enjoy this? And even in my 50s, why not? So that's where that came from. And the
Mm-hmm.
confidence to, even something like this, I never would have been comfortable doing anything like this. But with my dream team, with that support that I
Yeah.
want to give back to now, because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that before. And when I
Mm-hmm.
got it through the pageantry with the whole My Dream team, with the other girls, I just the love that I felt, and then those conversations with a few of them going through, like, divorce, like some of these uncomfortable things. I said, wow, like pageantry is so much more. If we
Mm-hmm.
we can help each other,
Yeah.
it's not what the crown does for us, it's what we could do with our crown for others.
So
If
so
I
nicely
can
put.
open up and talk to other girls and just, get to know them and support them. I mean, I've had my moment. I want to just continue and now be, either an ambassador or support group um, for pageantry, for women, for young girls, for mature women. I mean, even I pushed my father. He's in his 80s. He just had a heart attack a month ago, and he's on the better side. Thank goodness. I said, Daddy, you
That's
have
good.
to do this. I want you to
I
go into
saw
this
those pictures
surgery.
on Facebook and they were amazing. Yeah, there
Oh, he
was.
was a rock star and he loved it. He didn't have anything like this in his time. So
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not? Why not let them have
Um,
that little bit of moment? They've done so much for us, everything that he did to bring us to this country. I just wanted him to have some little glamour, some little moment of fun. So
Wow, that's great, Konjit. Like you are an amalgamation of a perfect, woman, great mother, a great daughter, a person that wants to give to the community, other women in the community. So it's everything so good that you're doing, Konjit, and really your life is truly inspiring. And I haven't even gotten to your MMA yet. So let's just talk about that. If people are thinking that's it, not yet. There's more.
that's right. Yeah, I mean, there's like you said, a lot of layers. I was always a tomboy. So before pageantry, it came. So when we were in Ethiopia, my father, once he did share with me, he said, we're going to America. And in America, it's baseball, hot dogs, mustard, and kung fu. So I was like, okay. Like, okay. Now I don't eat hot dogs. I don't like mustard. I don't like baseball, but I love kung fu
Wow.
somehow. So that became martial arts has always been very important, near and dear to me. I did that about 10 years ago. I did get divorced. My kids were very young, my sons. Um, my ex and I were still very good friends, so nothing bad there. Just weren't the right match, and we just couldn't do it together anymore. But
Mm,
separately, we raised
mm,
wonderful sons. But I wanted to connect with my sons. I didn't know what I'd be doing with them, and I wanted them to have discipline. So I enrolled them in a karate school. And I said, I'm going to do this too. Like I love martial arts. Why not? So I did get my black belt. I earned my black belt first degree in mixed martial arts. So it's several different forms from, we do Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling. So I get a lot of
unbelievable.
bruises. It's fun and
That's
horrible at the same
so
time.
good. Again, you said in your 50s. I think I misheard that. I don't
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah, so I turned 52 this summer. And
Unbelievable.
I keep forgetting. I don't know. Like they say age is in the mind. I definitely don't act it. I don't
But it
feel it.
is, Konjit. If I look at you, I can totally agree with that because there is nothing to stop you. You're doing everything and anything that a 25-year-old could be doing. So it is so inspiring. I mean, I am in my early 40s and I sometimes feel like, oh, half of my life is over, but it's actually not, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I have a
So
goal. I plan to live well and well over 100, and quality of life will be awesome. That's
that's
why I do the things that I do. I
amazing.
love martial arts. I met my second husband actually at our karate school. So there you go. I mean,
Yeah,
wonderful things can happen at
yeah.
strange times, strange places. We joke that it was love at first punch,
Yes,
so
that's a good one. That's
nothing
a
like that. I mean, he's good to me.
title for your maybe a book if you had to write one day.
Love at first punch, right? But he's
That's
wonderful. Even his kids were enrolled there, and he was also the same thing as I was for a couple of years, single parents. So the discipline not only helped our kids, but it helped us too. Um, I think we needed it. We needed something where we could just have our own and, come to the karate school. They say we bow, just like we do like namaste pranam, like
Yeah.
we bow, but it's also to empty the contents of your head and everything that's going on in your life and difficulties. You bow and you take that all, let it fall out, and then that 1 hour or whatever the time that you're on in the karate room in the dojo on the mat, you're just 100% focused there. And I love that. Like I wish we could do that in many parts of our life, but everything is intermingled and crossed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but yeah, so we when we met there, it was truly love, but it's very difficult when you're single parents. You just have no time on whatsoever. It's the last thing on your mind that
Mm.
love can brew. But it slowly happened, and after 3 or 4 years of you know sparring together, we
Yeah.
we finally were like, let's do this. The kids are older and they get along really well, and ironically, they are now we're almost the same age. So we have two 19-year-olds and two 20-year-olds, and love is
And
good,
how
love is
amazing
strong.
did that turn out, right, Konjit? It just turned out to be so aligned, and I think that's how life is if you think of it to be that way, right? That everything is okay. Just keep moving forward one step after the other and keep doing the things that you're passionate about and just keep moving forward. And, you never know
Yeah.
what life throws at you, and the just most amazing things. And I can,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
just,
the
you
biggest
just,
message I would say is just push yourself out of your comfort zone. Like we have so many restrictions. They say stay in your own lane, but sometimes just give it a try. Like you never know. What's the
yeah,
worst that could happen?
yeah,
No matter what it is, just give
yeah,
it a try. And I
yeah,
think like brilliant things happen. And like they say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Not going to happen.
yeah,
So trying something new, I don't know. I'll always do it.
yeah.
And I hope I can encourage others to do the same thing.
I am
So,
sure you do, Konjit. I mean, I should be giving you an idea that you can be an excellent life coach if that's something that you want to do in future. Have, you can really build that connection with the person in front of you, and you can make them see through the things that they are not able to. At least I felt that even before when I spoke to you, and today even more. So really, it's awe inspiring, your journey, and you yourself, Konjit. I'm so glad to have connected with you one on one, and talk to you today. And I want to continue to build this relationship and be really best friends with you.
yeah, no, I foresee a lot of little coffee dates and, hanging out and,
Yeah,
that's
and
that's really
maybe
important.
maybe do more of these podcasts and talk about more things that we couldn't talk about today, not just about you, but what's going on in our community and
Yeah.
how we can offer any support if we are able to do that in any small way that we can, or big way, who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be great. I will just put that in the universe and on the table that
Yeah.
we're not done, Kanjit. We have only started today, you and I.
Yeah.
So I, I hope
Yeah,
this
no, for sure.
this
For sure.
journey
I
will
mean, I think if anything positive can come out of this, reaching out, directly to strong people like us. I think that's the key, and that's how it starts, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
as I said, I haven't opened up any big institution or anything yet, but as you said, putting it out in the universe.
yes,
Never really thought much about life coach, but you really have me thinking now. Um, just support for each other, like I said,
yes, yeah,
early on.
yeah, yeah.
So putting it out there.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kanjit. With that, I've actually almost come to the end of our podcast. And I just, again, want to thank you so much for coming on today. And I had an absolutely amazing time speaking with you today. And
Yeah.
I just want to hear from you how you felt coming on today, and just a few parting words if you want to say to my viewers.
Yeah. No, Ritu, thank you so much for having me. I mean, I'm not really much I don't do much on social media, and this is amazing what you do. It's really it's inspiring even to me. And I'm inspired and awestruck by the things that you've done. But I it was great when we met. It was great today to have that easy rapport. This is it's very relaxing to me, like talking to you. You just have a very cool vibe about you. You make things very comfortable. And it's great what you're doing for our society, for our community by putting these out. So
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Konjit. I really appreciate those kind words. And I hope to continue doing this and having more guests like yourself. And yeah,
I'll be
keep
watching.
going
I'm
the
watching now.
journey.
Thanks for all that you do. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Ritu. Thanks
All
for
right.
having
With
me.
that, thank you so much. I'll take your leave and I will see you soon around.
All right. Take
Take
care.
care. Bye,
Bye.
Konjit.